poor single mother enters the luxury hotel with her daughter to escape the cold. The question the little girl asks the billionaire makes him cry. Snowflakes began to fall as Clara turned the corner, holding Lily's hand. The white flakes clung to both their blonde hairs, slowly melting. The 5-year-old stepped along in her worn-out shoes, 2 sizes too big, trying to keep up with her mother's pace. "Are you tired, sweetie?" Clara asked. Lily shook her head, but her bright eyes said otherwise. They were red with exhaustion. They had spent the whole day walking, 5 interviews, 5 will be in touch. Clara knew what that meant. She always had. No one ever calls back when you give an address for a cheap, cramped studio apartment and show up with a small child in tow. The first interview had been at a supermarket. The manager looked at Lily, sitting quietly in the corner, and asked, "Do you have availability to work evenings?" Clara hesitated. "I can work the morning shift. The position is for evenings." End of the conversation. The second was at a clothing store. The owner didn't even let her finish speaking. He just glanced at the resume, saw the address, and said, "We need someone with more experience." Experience. Clara had worked 3 jobs in the last 2 years, but none of them lasted. There was always something. The daycare that closed, the sitter who disappeared, Lily's illness that forced her to miss work. The third was at a coffee shop. The owner was a middle-aged woman with grey hair tied up in a bun. "You look tired." "I'm fine," Clara lied. "How's you have children?" "I have one." The woman looked at Lillian, who was drawing on a crumpled piece of paper Clara had borrowed from the first store. "It's hard, isn't it? I raised 3 on my own." Clara felt a small flicker of hope. "Then you understand," the woman sighed. "I do, but I can't hire you, I'm sorry." The fourth was at a diner near the train station. The manager looked at Lily and asked, "Do you have someone to leave her with?" Clara lied that she did. He said he would call. He wouldn't. The 5th was at a vet clinic. They needed someone to clean. Clara would take anything. The receptionist took down her number and said, "We'll call you if it works out." It wouldn't. Now, as they climbed the 3 flights of stairs in their old building, Clara felt the heavy weight of failure. Another lost day, another day without answers. The cramped studio apartment's door creaked when she opened it. The air inside was colder than the street. "Mommy, why is it so cold?" Lily asked, rubbing her small hands together. "The heat broke, remember?" Actually, it hadn't broken. Clara simply hadn't been able to pay last month's utility bill, or this month's. The building manager had warned her, twice. Then he cut off the service. Clara lit a candle she kept in the drawer. The weak light illuminated the tiny space. A single bed pushed against the wall. A small table with 2 chairs. A sink and a 1-burner stove. Useless now without gas. It was all they had. Lily sat on the bed and pulled the thin blanket over her legs. Her lips were purple. "I'm hungry." Clara opened the cupboard. Empty. She opened the refrigerator. Also empty, having been unplugged for a week. Half a box of saltine crackers remained on the top shelf, kept in an old tin. "I'll make you a snack." There was no butter, no cheese, no milk, just the dry crackers. Clara put 5 on a cracked plate and handed them to her daughter. "Is that all?" Lily asked, without complaining, just asking, with that childlike honesty that cut like a knife. "For today, my love, and that's it." The girl ate slowly, chewing each piece as if it were a feast. Making it last. Clara had taught her that unintentionally. When you have little, you learn to make it last. Clara pretended she wasn't hungry. A lie. Her stomach had been aching from emptiness since morning. Her last meal had been yesterday. 2 crackers and tap water. There was a knock at the door, 3 dry, impatient knocks. Clara stood up, her heart pounding. She knew who it was. She'd been expecting it all day. Mr. Davies, the building manager, stood outside, arms crossed, a short, pot-bellied man with the tired look of someone who had seen many people give up. "Clara." "Mr. Davies, you know why I'm here." She swallowed hard. I know, but I'm looking for a job, I swear. Today alone I went to 5 places. 5 interviews. And they're going to call me. Mr. Davies let out a humorless laugh. Clara, I wasn't born yesterday. They won't call. She felt her cheeks burn. He was right, but it hurt to hear it. Just 1 more week, please. Mr. Davies shook his head slowly. I can't. The landlord wants the studio back. I need you out by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow? Yes, and if you don't leave, I'll have to call someone to escort you out. I don't want to, but I will if I have to. Clara felt her legs go weak. She held onto the doorframe. But it's winter. My daughter is 5. She can't sleep on the street. I know, but it's not my problem, Clara. I warned you a long time ago. You had your chance. I tried. I know you tried, but trying doesn't pay the rent. He turned and started down the stairs. Clara stood in the doorway, looking at the empty, dark hallway. The candle inside the studio flickered in the cold draft. Lily appeared behind her, the blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Mommy! What is it? Clara slowly closed the door and crouched down to her daughter's height. She held her little face in her hands, so small, so fragile. We're going for a walk. Now. It's dark. Now. Where to? Clara didn't answer. She couldn't answer. There was no point in delaying. They had nowhere to go back to tomorrow. Better to leave now, before Mr. Davies returned with someone to force them out, before enduring the humiliation of being thrown onto the street in front of the neighbors. Clara grabbed the old backpack she used for interviews and started stuffing the few things they owned inside. 2 changes of clothes for each of them, toothbrushes, a pair of sweatpants with a torn knee. The teddy bear Lily had received in a charity Christmas donation 3 years ago. The drawing notebook the girl loved, its cover all crumpled. Lily watched, quiet, too quiet. Are we going on a trip? She asked, with that innocence that broke Clara's heart. Something like that, sweetie. To a nice place. Clara closed her eyes for a second. We'll see. She wrapped their 1 thick blanket around Lily, tucking the sides so it wouldn't fall. She closed the backpack, put it on her back, and blew out the candle. She took one last look at the studio. It wasn't much. The walls had mold. The bathroom leaked. The window didn't close properly, but it was all they had had for the last 6 months. A roof, 4 walls. A place to return to at the end of the day. Now they didn't even have that. Outside, the snow was falling harder. The cold cut the skin like glass. Clara took Lily's hand and started walking, aimlessly. Just walking. Where are we going? Lily asked, her voice muffled by the blanket. We're going to look for a place. But Clara didn't know what place. She didn't know anyone in this city. She had moved here 6 months ago, fleeing another city where things had fallen apart. She had no family. Her parents had died when she was 20. She had no friends. She was alone with a 5-year-old child on a winter night, homeless, brokey, and without hope. They walked for half an hour. Lily's feet were dragging on the ground. Her oversized shoes slipped. Mommy, my feet hurt. I know, sweetie. Just a little further. But they hurt a lot. I know. They passed a 24-hour laundromat. The light was on inside, but it was empty. Clara approached. The door was locked. A sign taped to the glass read, "Temporarily closed for renovation." Clara knocked on the glass anyway. Nothing. No one appeared. They moved on. 3 blocks later, a homeless shelter appeared. It was a low red brick building. A line of people stood outside, waiting. Clara approached. A man in an orange vest stood at the door. "Do you have space?" she asked. He looked at her, then at Lily. "Full maximum capacity. Please. She's small. She won't take up space." "Sorry. Orders from the coordinator. I can't let anyone else in." But she's going to freeze out here. The man sighed, his shoulders heavy. I know, but I can't do anything. Try the shelter on Oak Street. It's about 20 minutes from here. 20 minutes. Clara looked at Lily. She could barely walk. Thank you, she said, without hope. They started walking again. The snow now covered the ground. Lily slipped twice. Clara caught her before she fell. Mommy, it's really cold. I know, my love. My fingers won't move anymore. Clara stopped. She knelt on the wet sidewalk and held Lily's small hands. They were ice cold. She rubbed them between her own, trying to transfer warmth. Better, Lily shook her head. But Clara knew it was a lie. The girl was trembling all over. The blanket wasn't enough. Clara pulled her closer, trying to share her own body heat, but she herself was freezing. Her lips were numb, her fingers stiff. They walked a little more. The streets were empty. Everyone at home, warm, safe, eating hot dinner, watching TV, living normal lives, except them. Lily stopped walking. I can't go anymore, Mummy. Clara picked her up. The girl was light, but after a whole day of walking, Clara's arms trembled with exhaustion. Every step hurt. Lily rested her head on her mother's shoulder. We don't have a home anymore, do we? Clara didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat was constricted. It's so cold outside, Lily continued, her voice weak. And then at the end of the street, Clara saw it. A tall building with golden lights in the windows. A sign in cursive script shone at the entrance. The Sterling Hotel. Lily lifted her head and saw it too. Mommy, do you think it's warm inside there? Clara stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. She looked at the hotel. She looked at her daughter in her arms, shivering with cold, her lips purple, her eyes almost closing from exhaustion. She didn't have money to pay for a room. She didn't even have money for a cup of coffee. But she needed to get her daughter out of the cold, even if only for a few minutes, just for her to warm up. Just for her to stop trembling like that. Come on in here, it's too cold, Clara said, clutching Lily to her chest and crossing the street toward the glass doors. The automatic doors slid open with a gentle whoosh. A blast of warm air greeted them like an embrace. The lobby was immense. White and grey marble floor, crystal chandeliers hanging from the high ceiling. Brown leather sofas arranged in groups. Green plants in large planters. Everything clean, everything shining, everything smelling of expensive perfume. Clara had never been inside a place like this. She gently put Lily down. The two stood near the entrance, just feeling the warmth return to their numb limbs. Lily looked around, her eyes wide. It must be nice to sleep in a warm bed, she said, pointing to the elevator where guests ascended with elegant suitcases. Clara pulled her daughter to a corner near a marble column. She didn't want to attract attention. She already felt the stares. The receptionist looking sideways, a man in a suit passing by and steering clear of them. She knew how they must look. Old clothes, disheveled blonde hair, a battered backpack, a child wrapped in an old blanket. They didn't belong here, but she just wanted Lily to warm up a little. That's all. Then they would leave, but it was already too late. A tall man in an immaculate dark suit was walking toward them. His steps were firm, decisive, his face serious, expressionless, square jaw. Dark, penetrating eyes, dark hair with grey at the temples. Lily saw him first. Mommy, he's really serious, she whispered, hiding behind Clara's legs. The man stopped in front of them. His eyes scanned Clara from head to toe. The old backpack, the snow-dampened blanket, the worn shoes. Then he looked at Lily, hiding, with only her bright eyes visible. You can't stay here, he said. His voice was deep, controlled, devoid of emotion. Clara felt her face burn with shame. I know. We just wanted to warm up a little. We'll leave right away. Sorry to bother you. This is a hotel, not a shelter. The words were spoken without cruelty, just as a statement of fact. I understand. I'm truly sorry. Clara took Lily's hand and started to turn toward the door, back to the cold, back to the street. But Lily didn't move. The girl let go of her mother's hand and took a step forward. She looked up at the tall man. Her bright eyes met his. "Sir, have you ever needed a place just to get warm?" Silence fell over the three of them like a heavy curtain. The man blinked, as if he had been struck by an invisible punch. His expression changed, just for a second. A crack in the mask, and suddenly tears started to stream down. Clara gently pulled Lily back. "Lily, let's go. Don't bother the gentleman." But the man raised his hand, signaling them to wait. He stood still, looking at the girl. Something was happening behind those dark eyes. It wasn't a smile, it wasn't kindness. It was something else. A memory, perhaps. An old pain. He turned and called someone with a hand gesture. "Sarah." A woman in a blue uniform quickly appeared, almost running. "Yes, Mr. Sterling?" He didn't look at Clara, he didn't look at Lily. He just spoke, his voice firm. "They can stay tonight. Take them to a room." Sarah's eyes widened, clearly surprised. Her mouth opened, but she didn't question him. "Yes, sir." Clara stood motionless, unable to believe what she was hearing. Her heart pounded fast. "Sir, I can't pay." But Emmett Sterling had already turned and was walking back toward the corridor he had come from. Firm steps, straight back, without looking back, without waiting for thanks. Sarah smiled at Clara. It was a gentle smile, one that understood. "Come with me." Lily took her mother's hand, her eyes shining for the first time that day. "Are we going to sleep here, Mommy?" Clara couldn't answer. Her throat was closed. She could only nod, tears burning her eyes but not falling. They followed Sarah to the elevator. The doors closed. The carpet was soft beneath their feet. Soft music played. The warmth, finally, began to reach their bones. And somewhere up high in that immense building, a warm bed awaited them. A warm bed. Lily was right. It must be very nice to sleep in a warm bed. The morning light filtered through the window and woke Clara. She blinked, confused for a second, unsure where she was. The mattress was soft. The sheets smelled of lavender. The room was warm. Then she remembered the hotel, the serious man, the permission to stay one night. Today they would have to leave. Clara turned slowly and looked at Lily, still sleeping next to her. The girl was curled up in the white blanket, her little face tranquil for the first time in weeks. No shivering, no purple lips, just sleeping as a 5-year-old child should sleep. Clara felt a tightness in her chest. She didn't want to wake her. She didn't want to take her out of that warm bed and back to the cold street. But they had no choice. She carefully got up, trying not to make a sound. She picked up the backpack in the corner of the room and began putting away the few things they had taken out the night before. The toothbrushes, the teddy bear, the drawing notebook. Lily stirred in bed. "Mommy?" "Shh, go back to sleep, sweetie." "Where are we?" "At the hotel, remember, but we need to go now." Lily sat up in bed, rubbing her bright eyes. Already? Let's go." Clara helped her daughter get dressed. She wrapped the blanket around her again, put the backpack on her back, took one last look at the room. It was simple, but it felt like a palace after sleeping in the cold studio apartment. They stepped out into the hallway. It was empty and silent. Clara held Lily's hand and walked toward the elevator, trying to be discreet. If they could leave without being seen, it would be better. She didn't want to bother anyone. They had already received too much. The elevator doors opened. Clara pressed the ground floor button, but when the doors opened into the lobby, he was there. Emmett Sterling, standing near the reception desk, talking to an employee. He wore another suit, dark grey this time, immaculate. His hair perfectly combed, his posture upright. He turned his head and saw them. Clara froze. Lily hid behind her. Emmett said something to the employee and walked toward them. Clara felt her face heat up. He was going to ask them to leave. He was going to say the night was over. "Good morning," he said, his voice deep. "Good morning, sir. We were just leaving. Thank you for letting us stay. It was very kind of you." He looked at her. Then he looked at Lily. "Have you had breakfast?" Clara blinked. "No, but it's okay. We don't want to trouble you anymore. Come with me." It wasn't a request. It was an order, but it wasn't rude. Just direct. He turned and started walking down the side corridor. Clara looked at Lily. The girl shrugged, her eyes curious. They followed him. Emmett led them to an office at the end of the corridor. It was large, with a dark wood desk, shelves full of books and files, and a large window overlooking the street. He indicated 2 chairs in front of the desk. "Sit down." Clara sat on the edge of the chair. She pulled Lily onto her lap. Emmett sat on the other side of the desk and observed them for a moment. His eyes were hard to read. They weren't cold, but they weren't warm either, just attentive. "What is your situation?" he asked, getting straight to the point. Clara swallowed hard. "My situation? Do you have somewhere to live?" She hesitated. She could lie. She could invent that they had a place and that yesterday was just a temporary problem. But she looked into his eyes and realized he already knew the answer. There was no point in lying. "No," she said, her voice low but firm. "We were evicted yesterday afternoon." "Why?" "I couldn't pay the rent. I lost my last job 2 months ago. Since then, I've been searching every day, but..." She paused. She took a deep breath. "No one hires a single mother with a small child and no references. Do you have family? Anyone who can help?" "No. My parents died when I was 20. I don't have siblings. I don't have aunts or uncles. It's just me and her." "The girl's father?" Clara instinctively tightened her hold on Lily. "He's not a part of her life. Never has been." Emmett nodded as if processing the information. There was no judgment on his face, just attention. "What did you work as before?" "Cleaning, retail attendant, restaurant kitchen work. Anything that came up, I took it." "Why did you lose your last job?" Clara bit her lip. This was always the difficult question. The question that made her seem irresponsible, even though she wasn't. "Lily got sick, pneumonia. I spent 5 days in the hospital with her. When I returned to work, they had replaced me. They said they needed someone reliable." Emmett looked at Lily, who was quiet on her mother's lap, observing everything. "Is she well now?" "She is. That was last winter." She recovered. He was silent for a moment, his fingers interlocked on the desk. Clara didn't know what to expect. Was he going to give them money? Was he going to recommend a shelter? Was he going to simply dismiss them with a social worker's card? Then he spoke, his voice calm and measured. "I need someone on the housekeeping staff. The morning shift. 7 to 3 in the afternoon, base salary plus tips when guests leave them. You would have 1 day off a week and alternating Sundays. Uniforms are provided." Clara's eyes widened. "Are you offering me a job?" "I am. But you don't know me. You haven't seen my references. You don't know if I work well or you showed up here yesterday with your daughter, in the middle of a snowstorm, with nowhere to go. You didn't ask for money. You didn't invent a story. You just wanted her to warm up. That tells me enough about the kind of person you are." Clara felt her eyes sting. She blinked quickly, trying to hold back the tears. I accept. Of course I accept. Thank you, Mr. Sterling. I swear I will work hard. You won't regret it." He raised his hand, interrupting her. "There's one more thing." Clara held her breath. "Yes. If you work here, you can stay in one of the rooms with your daughter. As long as you are employed, you will have a place to stay." The world stopped. Clara was speechless. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She felt the tears stream down her face before she even realized she was crying. "It's not luxury," Emmett continued, his voice neutral, as if discussing something trivial. It's an employee room, small, but it has a bed, a bathroom, and heat, meals too. Breakfast and lunch are included for employees. Clara couldn't stop crying. She covered her mouth with her hand, trying to control herself. Lily looked at her, frightened. "Mommy?" "It's okay, sweetie. It's okay." Clara looked at Emmett through her tears. "Mr. Sterling, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means to us. Say you start tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock sharp. Sarah will show you the room today and explain the duties. I'll start. You can be sure I'll be early." He nodded. "Once. Do you have any questions?" Clara shook her head, still trying to process everything. "No, I don't think so, thank you." Emmett stood up. The meeting was over. He was a man of few words and fewer formalities. "Sarah is at the reception desk. She will take care of the rest." Clara stood up too, still holding Lily on her hip, and walked toward the door. But before leaving, she needed to know. She turned. "Mr. Sterling?" "Yes." "Why? Why are you doing this for us?" He was silent for a moment. His eyes drifted, looking out the window at some distant place. "Because someone did it for me once," he said, so low that Clara almost didn't hear him. "When I needed it," she nodded, feeling warmth spread through her chest. She didn't ask any more questions. She left and closed the door gently. In the hallway, Clara had to stop and breathe. She leaned against the wall, still holding Lily, and let the tears fall freely. "Mommy, you're crying a lot." "I am. But they are tears of happiness, my love." "Are we going to stay here?" "We are. We are going to stay. We have a home now, and I have a job." Lily smiled. It was her first real smile in days. Sarah showed them the room on the 3rd floor, at the end of the employees' corridor. It was small, yes, but it had a double bed, a bathroom with a hot shower, a small table with a chair, and even a built-in closet. There was a small window overlooking a side street. "It's perfect," Clara said, running her hand over the clean bedspread. "Mr. Sterling ordered new linens to be put in," Sarah explained. "Tomorrow morning I'll show you where the cleaning supplies are, the room schedule, and the break room. You'll start with the lower floors. It's quiet. Most guests are polite." "Thank you, Sarah," Sarah smiled. It was a genuine smile. Mr. Sterling looked serious, and he is, but he's also fair. "If you work properly, you won't have any problems. And if you have any questions, you can look for me." After Sarah left, Clara put the backpack on the floor and sat on the bed. It was soft, real. Lily jumped beside her, sinking into the mattress. "Is this bed ours, Mommy?" "It is, forever. As long as Mommy works here. And I will work very hard. Are you going to work forever then?" Clara laughed, a light, relieved sound, and hugged her daughter tightly. "I'm going to try, my love. I'm going to try very hard." The next day, Clara woke up at 6 in the morning. She took a hot shower for the first time in weeks, put on the blue uniform Sarah had left at the door, and went downstairs to work. Lily was still sleeping, so she asked Sarah to keep an eye on her. The work was exhausting, changing sheets on king-size beds, cleaning marble bathrooms, vacuuming thick carpets, folding towels, organizing amenities. But Clara didn't complain. Every room she cleaned was a guarantee that she and Lily would have somewhere to sleep that night. At lunchtime, she rushed back up to the room. Lily was awake, sitting on the bed, drawing in the notebook. "Are you hungry, sweetie?" "I am." Clara had grabbed 2 sandwiches and 2 apples from the employee cafeteria. They ate together at the small table, talking about the day. "What are you going to do this afternoon?" Clara asked. "I don't know. Can I draw more?" "You can, but stay in the room, okay? Don't leave here. It's important." "Okay, Mommy." Clara kissed her daughter's forehead and went back to work. She had 8 more rooms to clean before the end of her shift. But half an hour later, Sarah looked for her in the 2nd floor hallway, her expression worried. "Clara, do you know where your daughter is?" Clara's heart pounded. In the room. Why? Because I just went up there and she's not there. Clara dropped the cleaning cart in the middle of the corridor and ran. She climbed the stairs 2 steps at a time. She entered the room. Empty. The bathroom door open. Empty too. Lily, she called into the hallway, her voice echoing. Nothing. She ran downstairs to the lobby. She wasn't there. She asked the receptionist. No one had seen a blonde girl. Panic began to rise. What if she had left the hotel? What if... Then she heard it. A small, familiar voice coming from the office corridor. Clara ran there and stopped at the slightly open door of Emmett Sterling's office. Lily was inside, sitting cross-legged on the floor, with her drawing notebook open on her lap and her markers scattered around. And Emmett Sterling was at his desk, pen in hand, looking at the girl with an expression Clara couldn't decipher. "And what are you doing here, sir?" Lily was asking, her voice full of innocent curiosity. "Working?" Emmett replied, dryly. "Working on what?" "I manage the hotel. I take care of the accounts, the employees, the guests." "Do you work sitting down all day?" "Most of the time, yes." "Doesn't it get tiring to sit down?" "My mommy says sitting for too long is bad." "Sometimes it's tiring." Lily looked around the office, her bright eyes scanning the shelves, the pictures on the wall, the large window. "It's pretty here, but it looks lonely." Emmett didn't answer that. Lily returned her attention to the notebook. "Can I draw here in the corner? I promise I won't make noise." "I won't even talk much." Emmett opened his mouth to answer, but he saw Clara at the door. She entered quickly, her face red with shame and relief. "Lily, I told you to stay in the room. You scared me." "Sorry, Mommy. I wanted to explore. The hotel is big." Clara took her daughter's hand and began gathering the scattered markers. "Mr. Sterling, I am so sorry." "She won't bother you again, I promise. I'll lock the door if I need to." Emmett looked at Lily. The girl looked back, her bright eyes full of hope. Then he looked at Clara. Then, to the surprise of both, he said, "She's not bothering me." Clara blinked. "But if she wants to draw here, she can. As long as she doesn't make noise and doesn't touch the things on the desk." Lily smiled from ear to ear, her eyes shining. "I won't make noise. I promise. Can I really stay?" "You can." Clara didn't know what to say. She looked at the serious man sitting at the desk, immaculate suit, rigid posture, and saw something different. A crack in the ice. Small, but it was there. Something that looked almost like patience, maybe even kindness. "Thank you, sir," she said softly. He nodded and returned to work, picking up a paper and a pen as if nothing had happened. Clara left the office and gently closed the door, leaving Lily inside. And for the first time in a long time, that office didn't seem so lonely. Clara had just finished cleaning the last room on the second floor when Sarah appeared in the hallway. "Your daughter is in Mr. Sterling's office again." Clara sighed. It was the 3rd day in a row. "I'll go get her." "Sorry, Sarah." "No need to apologize. He hasn't complained. In fact, I don't think he even minds." Clara doubted it. Emmett Sterling wasn't the kind of man who liked interruptions, but for some reason he tolerated Lily. She went down to the office and knocked on the slightly open door. "Mr. Sterling, I came to get Lily." "Come in," the deep voice replied. Clara pushed the door open. Lily was in the same spot as always, sitting on the floor near the window, drawing. The notebook was almost full already. "Hi, Mommy," Lily said, without lifting her eyes from the drawing. "Hi, sweetie. Let's go up. Mr. Sterling needs to work." "She can stay," Emmett said, without looking up from the papers on his desk. "But I don't want to interrupt." "She doesn't interrupt." Clara bit her lip. She didn't want to abuse his patience, but she also didn't want to contradict him. She nodded and left, leaving Lily there once again. The next day, when Clara went up to the room after her shift, Lily was jumping on the bed, holding something in her hands. Mommy, look what Mr. Sterling gave me." It was a new notebook. It wasn't a cheap little notebook like the one she had. It was a real drawing pad, with thick paper and a hard cover, and next to it, a box of colored markers. 24 colors. Clara's eyes widened. "Lily, where did you get this?" "Mr. Sterling left it on his desk for me. There was a little note with my name on it." Clara picked up the pad. It was expensive. The kind of thing she could never afford. She felt a tightness in her chest. "Sweetie, this is very expensive. I don't think we can accept it." "But he gave it as a gift. Can we return a gift?" Clara sighed. Lily was right. It would be rude to return it. But at the same time, she didn't want Emmett to think they were taking advantage of the situation. "Okay. You can keep it, but tomorrow you have to thank him properly, okay?" "Okay." Lily spent the rest of the night drawing in the new pad, trying out every color. The next morning, Lily went down to Emmett's office as soon as Clara left for work. She knocked on the door. "Come in," he said. Lily entered, holding something behind her back. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling." "Good morning. Thank you for the pad and the markers. They are beautiful." He nodded, returning his attention to the papers. "You're welcome. I made something for you." This caught his attention. He looked up. "You did?" Lily approached the desk and placed a paper in front of him. It was a drawing made with the new markers, colorful and meticulous. Emmett picked up the paper and looked at it. It was him, or at least a childlike version of him. A tall man in a suit, dark hair, standing next to a desk. But there was something different in the drawing. He was smiling. "That's you smiling," Lily explained proudly. "It was hard to draw because you don't smile much. So I had to imagine what it would look like." Emmett looked at the drawing for a long moment. Something changed on his face. The corners of his mouth curved slightly, and then it happened. He laughed. It was a low sound, almost imperceptible, but it was a laugh, real. "Was it really hard?" he asked. "It was. You're always serious." "But I think you must look handsome when you smile." Emmett shook his head, still with that small smile on his lips. "Thank you for the drawing. I'll keep it." And he did keep it. He placed it carefully in a separate folder. Lily smiled back and sat down in her usual spot, on the floor near the window, and started drawing in the new pad. From that day on, Lily continued to visit Emmett every day. She arrived in the morning after Clara left for work. She knocked on the door, she came in, she sat on the floor, she drew, but it wasn't just drawing. She talked. At first, Emmett responded with single syllables. Yes, no, maybe. But gradually, the answers became longer. "What's it like to work in a hotel?" Lily asked one day. Emmett stopped typing and looked at her. "What do you mean?" "Is it cool? Do you like it?" He thought for a moment. "It's interesting. Every day is different. There are new guests, new problems, new situations. Do you know everyone who stays here? Not personally, but I know who they are. I read the records. It must be nice to meet people from different places. Sometimes it is, and sometimes not." Emmett almost smiled. "And sometimes not." Another day, she asked, "Why do you spend so much time in the office?" "Because I have a lot of work." "But don't you ever go out?" "I do go out." "Where to?" "Meetings, inspections. Sometimes I check the floors, but what about going out for fun, to enjoy yourself?" Emmett stopped. He looked at the 5-year-old girl sitting on the floor, her legs crossed, her bright eyes full of genuine curiosity. "It's been a long time since I've done that." "Why?" "Because I don't have time. My mommy says everyone needs time to be happy. Otherwise, we just get tired." Emmett didn't answer, but he kept those words in mind, and on another day, "Do you like having company?" Emmett stopped writing. "What do you mean?" "Company. Someone to talk to be near." "I have employees." "That's not the same. Employees work. I'm talking about friends." Emmett was silent. "I don't have much time for friends. But do you like it when I come here?" He looked at her, those bright, innocent eyes, waiting for an honest answer. "Yes," he said, and realized it was true. I do like it. Lily smiled. So are we friends? Emmett hesitated. It had been so long since he had a friend, so long since he let anyone in. But looking at that little girl with messy blonde hair, a big smile and an open heart, he realized maybe he wanted that. Yes, he said, his voice softer. We are friends. Days turned into weeks. Lily continued to visit Emmett every day. Sometimes she stayed silent, just drawing. Other times she filled the office with questions and stories. She talked about the drawings she made, about what she thought of the hotel rooms, about the time she saw a dog on the street and wanted to adopt it, about how much she liked mac and cheese. And Emmett listened. At first, he pretended he was working while she spoke, but gradually he stopped typing, he stopped writing, and he just listened. There was something about her innocence that moved him, the way she saw the world, simple, direct, without malice, without hidden motives. She just wanted to be there, to draw, to talk, to exist in the same space as him, and that was changing something inside him, something he had buried a long time ago, a part of him that had forgotten how to feel, warmth. On a Friday afternoon, Clara finished her shift early. She had cleaned all the rooms ahead of schedule, and Sarah let her go. She went up to the room, expecting to find Lily there. Empty. She knew where she was. She went down to Emmett's office and stopped at the door. It was slightly ajar, she could see inside. Lily was sitting on the rug, cross-legged, drawing in her notebook, the markers scattered around, her tongue sticking out, concentrating, and Emmett was at his desk, not working, just looking out the window, thoughtful. There was a peace in the atmosphere, a comfortable silence. Clara lightly knocked on the door. Emmett looked at her. Come in. She entered. I came to get Lily. Sorry if she bothered you today. Emmett looked at the girl on the floor, then he looked back at Clara. She didn't bother me. Clara waited, expecting him to say something about Lily needing to stop coming, about him being too busy, about needing silence. But he didn't say any of that. She is good for the atmosphere. The words came out slowly, as if he were admitting something difficult. Clara blinked, surprised. She looked at the serious man sitting at the desk, and for the first time, she saw something different. He was smiling. It wasn't a big smile, it wasn't wide, but it was there. Small, subtle, real. Emmett Sterling was smiling. Clara felt her heart race. She didn't know why, but seeing that man, who always seemed so closed off, so distant, smiling because of her daughter, it touched something deep inside her. Thank you, she said softly, for letting her stay, for being patient, for everything. Emmett looked her in the eyes, and for the first time since they met, there was no formality between them. There was no distance. There was something more. Respect, trust, perhaps even the beginning of something deeper. You work well, he said. Sarah told me. Polite, quick, thorough. The guests complimented you. Clara felt her face warm up. I try. I want to do everything right. You are doing it. They looked at each other for another moment, a look that said more than words could. Then Lily lifted her head. Mommy, look what I drew. The moment broke. Clara smiled and crouched down to see the drawing. It was the hotel, with 3 people in front, a blonde woman, a small blonde girl, and a man in a suit. It's us, sir, Lily explained. The 3 of us in front of the hotel. I like it here. I think we're going to stay a long time. Clara looked at the drawing, then she looked at Emmett. He was still smiling. I think so too, he said. And in that moment, Clara knew. They had found more than just a place to stay. They had found a place that felt, for the first time in a long time, like a home. Sarah was at the reception desk organizing papers when she noticed Emmett Sterling had just passed through the lobby, and instead of going straight to the office as he always did, he stopped. He looked around. He observed the decor, the sofas, the arrangement of the plants, as if he were truly seeing the place for the first time. "Good morning, Sarah," he said. She almost dropped her pen. In 3 years of working there, he always walked straight past. Sometimes he nodded, but he never stopped to greet her. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling. Are the guests in 214 satisfied?" "Yes, sir. They complimented the breakfast yesterday. They said it was the best they've ever had." He nodded, looking genuinely pleased. "Good work. Keep it up." And he continued down the hallway. Sarah stood still, blinking. She looked at Carla, the other receptionist. "Did you see that?" "I did. He complimented you. He never does that." "I know, never." The two looked at each other, confused but happy. Ben, the maintenance manager, had the same experience 2 days later. He was fixing a faucet on the 3rd floor when Emmett appeared in the hallway. Ben braced himself for a formal report, as always happened. "Ben, Mr. Sterling." Ben quickly stood up, wiping his hands on his uniform. "The faucet is almost done. 10 more minutes." "No rush. How's the heat on the 5th floor? Is it working well?" "Yes, sir. I fixed it yesterday afternoon. I tested all the radiators. Good, very good." Emmett stood there. Ben waited for him to leave, but he didn't. "How about you?" Emmett asked. "How are you doing?" Ben blinked, confused. "Me, sir." "Yes, your mother was sick, wasn't she? Did she get better?" Ben's eyes widened. He had mentioned it 2 weeks ago, in a quick meeting. It was a throwaway line. He didn't even think anyone had paid attention. She did get better, yes. She was discharged from the hospital last week." "Thank you for asking, sir." Emmett nodded. "That's good. If you need time off to take care of her, you can talk to Sarah. We'll sort it out." "Thank you, sir. Really." Emmett waved and walked away. Ben stood still in the hallway, completely lost. "What's gotten into him?" he muttered to himself. In the kitchen, Chef Antoine noticed it too. Emmett had appeared during lunch preparation, something he rarely did. He usually only came down if there was a problem. "Is everything under control?" he asked. "Yes, sir. It always is." Emmett looked at the dishes being prepared, the pots on the stove, the organization of the staff, the smell of herbs in the air. "You run the kitchen well, Antoine. The quality never drops. Guests always compliment the food." Antoine stopped stirring the sauce. He slowly turned around. "Thank you, sir. How long have you worked here?" 7 years this March." 7 years, Emmett repeated thoughtfully. "And I've never asked you if you're satisfied, if you need anything." Antoine didn't know what to say. "I am satisfied. Yes. I like the job. I like the team." "Good. If you need new equipment or help, you can come to me. My door is open." "Thank you, sir." Emmett nodded and left. The kitchen fell silent, then it erupted in whispers. "What's wrong with him?" a kitchen assistant asked. "I don't know," Antoine replied, smiling. "But I like it." Clara noticed the change too. Emmett started circulating more throughout the hotel. He appeared on the floors during the cleaning shift, observing, but not critically, with interest. He stopped to talk to the employees. He asked how they were, if they needed anything, if they had suggestions, and he truly listened, and he smiled more. They weren't big smiles, but they were there, small, discreet, but real, especially when he saw Lily around the hotel. "He's different," Sarah commented to Clara one day while they were folding towels. "I know. I noticed." "Do you think it's because of your daughter?" Clara looked at Sarah. "Why do you say that?" "Because the change started after she began visiting him. Everyone at the hotel noticed. You know how it is. We talk, and everyone agrees. He seems lighter after she passes by the office." Clara didn't know what to say. She was afraid to assume too much, but it was hard to deny. "Maybe," she said. Sarah smiled. "Whatever the reason, it's good to see him like this. I've worked here for 3 years and I've never seen him so human. He was always fair, but he was distant. Now the wall is cracking." and Lily continued to be his little daily visitor. She appeared in the office every morning after Clara left for work. She knocked on the door 3 times. She waited for the "come in." She opened it, smiled, and sat on the rug near the window. But now, she didn't just sit and draw in silence. She talked, and Emmett answered. "Have you eaten today, sir?" she asked one morning. Emmett looked at her, lifting his eyes from the computer. "Not yet." "Why?" "It's already 10 o'clock. I forgot." Lily frowned, putting her marker aside. "How do you forget to eat?" "I never forget." Emmett almost laughed. "I get distracted with work. Mommy says you have to eat properly, 3 times a day. Otherwise you get weak." "Your mother is right. So are you going to eat?" Emmett looked at the girl, her bright eyes full of genuine concern. He sighed, but he was smiling. "I will, I promise. After I finish this." "Now," Lily insisted. "Mommy says you can't leave it for later." "Now. Now." Emmett shook his head, giving up the argument. "Okay, you win." And for the first time in years, Emmett stopped to eat a proper lunch. Not just cold coffee and a quick sandwich in front of the computer. He went down to the kitchen. He sat at the small employee table. He ate slowly. Another day, Lily was drawing when she stopped and looked at him over the top of the pad. "Mr. Sterling." "Yes." "Do you want me to draw you serious or smiling?" Emmett stopped typing and spun his chair around. "What?" "I'm doing a drawing of you, for my notebook. But I don't know if I should do you serious, like you always used to be, or smiling like you are sometimes now." "Sometimes now?" "Yes, you smile more now. Before you never smiled. Now you do. Not much, but you smile." Emmett leaned back in his chair. "I smile more." "You do, I noticed. Mommy noticed too. Sarah noticed too. Everyone noticed then." "Everyone," Lily confirmed, very serious. "So, serious or smiling?" "Draw whichever you prefer." Lily thought for a moment, biting her lip. "I'll draw you smiling. It's prettier, and it suits you more now." And Emmett couldn't help it. He smiled. That small but real smile. Lily pointed at him. "Like that. That's how I'm going to draw you." But the sentence that affected Emmett the most came on a rainy November afternoon. The sky was grey and heavy. The rain beat hard against the window. Lily was quiet on the rug, just watching the water run down the glass. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I am, just watching the rain." "It's pretty." "It is. Don't you want to draw today?" "I've already drawn 3 things. Now I just want to sit here quietly." She turned her head and looked at him, her bright eyes shining. "I like being here." "You do?" "I like it a lot. It's warm. It's quiet. There's a comfortable chair. There's you. You let me stay. You don't get mad when I ask questions. You don't tell me to leave. That's good." Emmett felt something squeeze in his chest. That girl who had been cold on the street, who had lost her home, thought that sitting on his office floor was good. "I like having you here too," he said, his voice low. Lily smiled. That big, innocent smile that had the power to melt the armor he had built. And Emmett realized something. The office was no longer lonely. For years, that space had been his refuge. 4 walls, a desk, work, silence, solitude. He had grown used to it. But now, with Lily there, with the sound of her drawing, with the silly questions, with the occasional laughter, with the simple company, he realized how empty it had been. How empty he had been. And he didn't want to go back to that. The weeks passed. October turned into November. The cold outside increased, but inside the hotel, it was always warm. Clara was adapting perfectly. Guests liked her, always polite, always smiling. She had even received good tips. Once, a couple left $20, and Lily was flourishing. Color returned to her little face. Her eyes shone. She laughed more, slept better. She was, for the first time, simply being a child. Everything was going well. Until that day. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Clara had just finished cleaning the last room on the second floor when she heard it. A loud noise, shattering crystal, the sound echoing through the walls. Her heart stopped. She dropped the cart and ran to the lobby. And she saw it. Lily, standing near a column, her eyes wide, and on the floor, at her feet, thousands of shards of bright blue glass scattered. The vase, the antique vase that sat on a side table, a tall, delicate cobalt blue crystal vase, which Clara knew was extremely expensive. She had cleaned around it dozens of times, always with extreme care. And now it was on the floor, broken, destroyed into 1,000 pieces. Lily was standing still, looking at the shards, her eyes filling with tears. I didn't mean to, Mommy. I was just running and I bumped it and the vase fell and Clara ran to her, not to scold, to protect, because she knew what was coming next. Firing. They were going to lose everything, the room, the job, the security, because of an antique vase. Sarah came running from the reception desk, her eyes wide at the sight of the destruction. What happened? It was an accident, Clara said quickly, desperately. She didn't see the table she was running. It was an accident. Clara, that vase is very old. I know, I'll pay. You can deduct it from my salary, however many months it takes, a year, 2, whatever. I'll pay for everything. Please, just don't take this away from us. Sarah opened her mouth to reply, but a deep voice cut the air. What happened here? Emmett. He had emerged from the corridor and was walking toward them with firm steps, his posture upright, his face serious, his eyes fixed on the glass shards. Clara felt her legs go weak. She held Lily close, protective. Mr. Sterling, it was an accident. She didn't see— I broke it, Lily interrupted, her voice trembling. It was my fault. Only mine. Mommy didn't do anything. Please, sir, don't send us away. Emmett stopped in front of them. He looked at the glass shards scattered across the marble floor, the bright cobalt blue reflecting the light of the chandeliers. It was a complete mess. Then he looked at Lily. The girl was trembling, her bright eyes overflowing with tears. Clara held her breath. I'll pay, she said again, her voice broken. I'll work for free if I have to. I'll work overtime. I'll work on my days off. Anything. Just please, don't take this away from us. Emmett was silent for a moment that seemed to last an eternity. Then he crouched down. He picked up one of the larger shards from the floor. He observed it. He turned it between his fingers. It was an antique piece. It had belonged to his grandmother. She had brought that vase from Italy almost 100 years ago. He had kept it there when he took over the hotel. It had value, sentimental and financial. But then he looked at Lily, at her frightened little face, at her bright eyes overflowing with tears, at her tiny body trembling with fear, at her mother trying to protect her, and he realized something. It was just glass. He placed the shard on the floor and stood up. It's just glass, he said, his voice calm. Clara blinked. What? It's just glass. It can be replaced. It's not important. But it was antique. It was your family's. It doesn't matter. He looked at Lily and, to everyone's surprise, knelt down to her height. Was it an accident? Lily nodded, the tears falling. I didn't mean to break it. I promise. I know. I believe you. Accidents happen. You're not mad. No. You won't send us away? Emmett shook his head. No. Never. Really? Really? He looked at Clara, who was completely still. Her presence is good for me, he said, and there was so much sincerity in those words. A vase is not worth more than that. Nothing is. Clara felt tears rise uncontrollably. She covered her mouth with her hand, trying to control herself, but she couldn't. She cried right there in front of everyone. They weren't tears of fear. They were of relief, of gratitude, of something deeper she couldn't name. Emmett stood up and called an employee who was watching. Bring a broom and a dustpan. Clean this up carefully so no one gets hurt. Then throw it away." "Yes, sir." He looked at Lily again. "You can go back to the office if you want, but walk slowly, no running." Lily wiped her tears with the back of her hands. "Can I really? Can I still go there?" "You can always go." She looked at her mother, seeking confirmation. Clara nodded. Lily started to run out, then remembered and began to walk, very slowly, looking back with an embarrassed smile. When she disappeared down the corridor, Clara looked at Emmett, truly looked. "Thank you," she said, her voice broken. "Thank you for not taking this away from us. You don't know what this means. I thought everything was over again. It's not over, and it won't be. But it was important to you." "It was. But you two are more important." The words hung in the air between them. Clara looked at him and she realized he was no longer the serious, distant man who had greeted them that first night. He was no longer the man who looked at them with suspicion. He was no longer the man who saw everything as a transaction. He had changed, and Lily had done it. With her innocence, with her questions, with her open heart. "You changed," Clara said. Emmett looked at her. "Did I change?" "Yes. You're no longer cold, closed off. You're different now." He was silent, thinking. Then he nodded. "No, I am not anymore. And it's good not to be." And for the first time, the two smiled at each other. It wasn't just courtesy. It wasn't just professional respect. It was something real. Something that was growing between them little by little. Trust, respect, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something more. Sarah watched from the reception desk, an emotional smile on her face. Ben, who had appeared when he heard the noise, shook his head, impressed. And there in the office, Lily sat on the rug, picked up her new pad and colored markers and started drawing. She drew 3 people, a blonde woman with long hair, a small blonde girl, and a tall man in a dark suit. And this time, the 3 of them were holding hands, and smiling, everyone smiling. Clara was finishing cleaning the last room on the 4th floor when Sarah looked for her. "Mr. Sterling wants to talk to you." Clara's heart skipped a beat. Had she done something wrong? Now, he's in the office. Clara took off her gloves, smoothed down her uniform, and went downstairs. She knocked on the office door. "Come in." She opened it. Emmett was sitting at the desk, Lily on the rug as usual, drawing. "Sarah said you wanted to speak with me." "Yes, please sit down." Clara sat in the chair in front of the desk, nervous. Emmett looked serious, but not angry. "Did something happen?" she asked. "No. Actually, I wanted to extend an invitation. An invitation. I would like for you and Lily to have dinner with me tonight, here at the hotel, in the private dining room." Clara blinked, surprised. "Dinner?" "Yes, if you don't have other plans." No, I don't. But why?" Emmett hesitated for a moment. "Because I would enjoy your company." Clara felt her face warm up. "Of course, we accept. Thank you for the invitation." 7 o'clock then. Sarah will show you where it is." Clara didn't have appropriate clothes for dinner. She only had her work clothes and 2 simple blouses. She chose the least worn one, a light blue blouse, and dressed Lily in the little pink dress she had received from a donation. "Are we going to have dinner with Mr. Sterling?" Lily asked, excited. "We are." "Why?" "Because he invited us." "He likes us, doesn't he, Mommy?" Clara smiled. "I think so, sweetie." At 7 o'clock, Sarah led them to the private dining room. It was a small space, with a wooden table, comfortable chairs, and a window overlooking the street. There were candles lit in the center of the table and dishes already prepared. Emmett was standing near the window. He had taken off his jacket and was wearing only a dress shirt and trousers. He looked more relaxed. "Good evening," he said. "Good evening," Clara replied. "Good evening, Mr. Sterling," Lily said, running up to him. He smiled and indicated the table. "Sit down, the food is ready." They sat down. Chef Antoine had prepared something special: roasted chicken with vegetables, mashed potatoes, and salad. For Lily, he had made mac and cheese, knowing she loved it. "Look, Mommy, macaroni," Lily said, excited. Clara smiled. "Thank you for this," she said to Emmett. "She loves it." "I know. She mentioned it a few times in the office." They began to eat. At first, there was a slight uncomfortable silence. Clara didn't know what to say. Emmett seemed to be choosing his words. Lily, as always, broke the ice. "This mac and cheese is really good, better than Mommy's." Clara laughed, embarrassed. Lily, "But it's true, Mommy. Chef Antoine is very good." Emmett smiled. "He'll be glad to hear that." Dinner continued, lighter now. Lily told stories about the drawings she had made, about a butterfly she had seen in the window, about a guest who had a stuffed dog just like hers. Emmett listened, smiling occasionally, asking questions. Clara observed everything, surprised. He was so different, so present. After Lily finished her mac and cheese, she yawned. "I'm sleepy. Do you want to lie down in that armchair over there?" Emmett asked, pointing to an armchair in the corner of the room. "Can I?" "You can." Lily went over there, curled up, and closed her eyes. In 5 minutes, she was asleep. Emmett looked at her, then at Clara. She falls asleep fast. She always has. When she decides she's tired, she's out instantly. They were silent for a moment, a different silence now, comfortable. Then Emmett spoke, his voice low. "I wanted to thank you." Clara looked at him, surprised. "Thank you? For what?" "For letting me be a part of your lives." "Mr. Sterling, we're the ones who should be thanking you." "You gave us—" "Emmett," he interrupted. "You can call me Emmett." Clara blinked. "Emmett," she repeated, testing the name. He nodded. "I put this hotel above everything else in my life," he began, looking at the table. "I worked non-stop. I made it the best I could. I gained respect, recognition, profit." He stopped. He took a deep breath. "And loneliness." "I gained a lot of loneliness." Clara stayed quiet, letting him talk. "I don't have family. I don't have real friends. I have employees, business partners, acquaintances, but no one who truly cares." He looked at Lily, sleeping. "And then you two appeared, on that cold night, and that little girl asked me a question no one had ever asked." Clara remembered. "Have you ever needed a place just to get warm?" "She saw me," Emmett continued, "not as the owner of the hotel, not as someone important, just as a person, and she kept seeing me that way, every day, coming to the office, asking questions, drawing, laughing." He looked at Clara. "And you too. You work hard. You never ask for anything. You never complain. Always grateful, always dignified. You see me differently. You treat me differently, as if I were more than just this." He made a vague gesture indicating the hotel, his life. Clara felt her eyes sting. "You are more than that, Emmett. Much more." He looked at her for a moment. There was something in his eyes, something she couldn't name yet. Then Lily stirred in the armchair. She opened her eyes, drowsy. "Mommy." "I'm here, sweetie." Lily got up, rubbing her eyes. She walked to the table, still looking sleepy. Then she remembered something. "Oh, I have something for you, Mr. Sterling." "For me?" "I do. I forgot to give it to you earlier." She ran to where she had left her small backpack and returned with a folded paper. She handed it to Emmett. "I made this today, just for you." Emmett unfolded the paper carefully. It was a drawing of him, only him this time, done meticulously with all the colored markers. He was in a suit, standing, with the hotel in the background. And he was smiling, a big, open, happy smile. Lily pointed to the drawing, proud. "Look, I did it. Now you know how to smile." Emmett looked at the drawing. His fingers trembled slightly at the edges of the paper. "Do you think I know how to smile now?" "I do. You smile a lot now, not as much as you should, but you smile. And you look handsome when you smile." Emmett looked at the girl. Then he looked at the drawing again. "Thank you, Lily. It's the most beautiful gift I've ever received." "Really? Really?" He stood up, went to the side table, and picked up a folder that was there. He opened it and put the drawing inside, with extreme care, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Clara watched everything. She watched that man who had been so serious, so closed off, carefully putting away a 5-year-old child's drawing as if it were a treasure. And she felt something warm spread through her chest, something that went beyond gratitude. Beyond respect, something she was still afraid to name. But it was there, growing, getting stronger. Emmett returned to the table and knelt down to Lily's height. "You taught me how to smile again," he said, his voice emotional. "Thank you for that." Lily hugged him. She just hugged him with that childlike spontaneity, and Emmett hugged her back. He closed his eyes. He held that little girl as if she were the most important thing in the world. When they let go, he discreetly wiped the corner of his eyes. "It's late. You two must be tired." "I am," Lily admitted. "I'll walk you up to the room." They went up together. In the third-floor hallway, Emmett stopped at the door of their room. "Thank you for dinner," Clara said. "It was special. It was for me, too." They looked at each other. For a moment, it seemed like he was going to say something more, but he didn't. "Good night, Clara." "Good night, Emmett." "Good night, Mr. Sterling," Lily said, yawning. "Good night, Lily." He turned and started walking down the hallway, but before turning the corner, he looked back. Clara was still there in the doorway, watching. They exchanged one last look, a look that said more than words could, and then he disappeared down the corridor. Clara entered the room and closed the door. She leaned against it, her heart beating fast. "Mommy, are you okay?" Lily asked, already lying in bed. "I am, sweetie. I'm fine." More than fine. For the first time in a long time, she was feeling something she had forgotten. Hope, not just for a roof and food, but for something more, something bigger, something that could become a real family. Clara was counting her cash for the third time when Sarah entered the break room. "How much have you saved?" $540. "Not enough yet." "Almost." "I need 60 more for the deposit in the first month, but it's coming." Sarah smiled and pulled up a chair. "We took up a collection." "A collection?" "Me, Ben, Antoine, Carla, and about 5 others. We raised 120. Clara's eyes widened. "You did what?" Sarah placed an envelope on the table. "Everyone here likes you. You work hard, you never complain, you always help when someone needs it. We wanted to help too." Clara took the envelope with trembling hands. She opened it. Inside were 6 $20 bills. "I can't accept this." "You can. It's a gift. You deserve to have a place of your own." Clara felt the tears rise. "Thank you." "Thank you so much. Do you have enough now?" I do. The little house was 15 minutes from the hotel. It was small, very small. A living room, 1 bedroom, a kitchen, and a bathroom. But it had windows that caught the sun. It had heat. And it was theirs. The landlord was an elderly man who lived in the house next door. "It's simple," he said, showing the space, "but it's clean and the rent is fixed. I won't raise it without warning." "It's perfect," Clara said. "We'll take it." She signed the lease, paid the deposit, and took the keys. When she returned to the hotel that night, Lily was drawing in the room. "Lily, I have a surprise." "What surprise?" "We're going to have our own house." Lily dropped her marker. "Our own house." "Ours, just ours. A small house, but it's ours." Lily jumped out of bed and hugged her mother tightly. "Are we going to have a real house?" "We are, sweetie, we are." The move was quick. They didn't have much. The backpack with clothes, the teddy bear, the drawing notebook, the markers Emmett had given her, and now some things Sarah and other employees had donated: towels, some plates, an extra blanket. Clara went to Emmett's office on the morning of the move. She knocked on the door. "Come in." She entered. Lily was there, as usual, on the rug. "Emmett, I came to thank you for everything." He looked at her, confused. "Thank me? I managed to rent a little house. We're moving today." Something crossed his face. Surprise. And maybe disappointment. "You're leaving the hotel?" "We are, but I'm still working here, don't worry. We're just going to live outside now." "I understand." Clara approached the desk. "I wanted to thank you for everything you did for us, for giving us a place when we had none, for giving me a job, for being kind to Lily. You changed our lives." Emmett was silent for a moment. "You changed mine too." Lily stood up from the rug and ran to him. "And we're going to miss living here. You were always welcome. But can I still come visit you?" Emmett looked at the girl, then at Clara. "You can," Clara said. If he doesn't mind." "I would never mind," he said, his voice low. They moved that afternoon. Ben lent his van and helped carry the few things. Sarah came along too. The little house looked big empty. It didn't have furniture yet. Just an old mattress the landlord had left and 2 folding chairs. "It's small," Lily said, looking around. "It is, but it's ours." "I like it," Clara smiled. "Me too." That night, they slept on the mattress, wrapped in the blanket, listening to the sounds of the street outside. It was different from the hotel, less silent, more alive, but it was theirs. The next morning, Clara woke up early and went to the hotel to work as usual. Lily stayed in the little house, drawing, waiting for her mother to return for lunch. The day at the hotel passed normally. Clara cleaned rooms, changed sheets, folded towels, but there was something different. Every time she passed the office corridor, she felt a pang, a desire to go in, to see how Emmett was doing. But she didn't go in. He was working. He shouldn't be bothered. Emmett arrived at the office at 8 in the morning, as always. He sat in his chair. He turned on the computer. He picked up the first folder of documents, but he didn't start reading. He looked at the rug near the window. Empty. The markers that Lily always left scattered were not there. The notebook was not open on the floor. The girl was not sitting, drawing, asking questions. Only silence. He tried to work. He opened a report. He read the first line 3 times without processing anything. He gave up. He stood up and went to the window. He looked out at the street. People walking, cars passing, life moving on. But inside it was empty. Days passed. Emmett tried to work, but it was hard. Every morning, upon entering the office, he looked at the empty rug. He waited to hear the knock on the door, Lily's 3 joyful knocks, but they didn't come. Sometimes, in the middle of the afternoon, he would catch himself waiting for the question. "Have you eaten today, sir?" But no one asked. The silence that was once normal was now heavy. Sarah noticed. Ben noticed. Everyone noticed. Mr. Sterling was quieter, more distant. He wasn't circulating through the hotel as he had started to do. He stayed closed up in his office all day. "He misses her," Sarah commented to Clara one day. "Do you think so?" "I'm sure of it. You should bring her to visit." "I don't want to bother him." "You won't bother him. Believe me." 1 week after the move, Emmett was sitting at his desk trying to focus on a financial report. He couldn't. He opened the side drawer. He took out the folder he had put away there. He opened it. The drawing was there, him smiling, made by Lily with the colored markers. He ran his fingers over the edge of the paper. He observed every stroke, every color, the childlike care, the innocence. "Look, I did it. Now you know how to smile." Her voice echoed in his memory, and he realized something. His joy had a name. Actually, it had two names, Lily and Clara. That little girl who had walked into his office and cracked the ice around his heart, and that strong, dignified woman who never gave up, even when everything was falling apart. They had brought life into that empty space. They had brought light, warmth, laughter. And now that they were no longer there, he realized the void they had filled. He put the drawing back and looked out the window. "I miss you," he said to the silence of the office. On Saturday, Clara didn't have to work. It was her day off. She woke up early anyway, used to the routine. She made coffee. She prepared toast. She sat with Lily at the small kitchen table. "Mommy?" "Yes, sweetie." "I miss Mr. Sterling." Clara looked at her daughter. "You do?" "I do. Do you think he misses me too?" Clara thought about Sarah's words, about the stories Ben had told, how Emmett was more closed off again. "I think so." "Then can we go visit him?" Clara hesitated. It was Saturday. He was probably working, but maybe he didn't want to be bothered. But she looked into her daughter's eyes, full of hope. "Go get your markers. We'll go." They arrived at the hotel around 10 in the morning. Sarah was at the reception desk and smiled when she saw them. "He's there," she said, before Clara even asked, "and he'll be happy to see you." Clara held Lily's hand and walked down the corridor. Her heart was beating fast. She didn't know why. They stopped in front of the office door. Clara was about to knock, but Lily was quicker. She knocked 3 times, as she always did. "Come in," the deep voice replied. Lily opened the door. "Mr. Sterling?" Emmett lifted his head. He was sitting at his desk, papers scattered. But the second he saw Lily, everything changed. His face lit up. His eyes sparkled. A smile, a true smile, appeared. "Lily!" The girl ran to him. Emmett stood up and picked her up, something he had never done before. "Are you well?" he asked. "I am. We have a little house now. It's small, but it's ours." "That's good." "I'm happy for you." Clara walked in slowly, closing the door. "Sorry to bother you on your day off." "You're not bothering me. Never bothering me." He put Lily down, but she held his hand. "I made another drawing. Do you want to see?" "I do." Lily grabbed her small backpack and took out a folded paper. She opened it and showed it to him. It was a new drawing, more meticulous than the others, done with great care. It showed 3 people, a blonde woman with long hair, a small blonde girl, and a tall man in a suit. The 3 were holding hands, and above them, surrounding all 3, was a large heart drawn in red. "This time it's the 3 of us holding hands," Lily explained, "proud, because we are important to each other." So I drew a heart around us. Emmett took the drawing with both hands. He held it with extreme care, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. He looked at it for a long moment. His eyes scanned every detail. The 3 figures, the joined hands, the red heart. "It's beautiful," he said, his voice husky. "Did you really like it?" "I liked it very much." He turned, went to the side wall of the office, where there was an empty space between 2 bookshelves. "This one, I'm going to put up here on the wall, for everyone to see." "Really? Really?" He took some adhesive tape from his drawer and fixed the drawing to the wall, centered, at eye level, where anyone entering the office could see it. He took a step back and looked at it. Perfect. Lily jumped for joy. Then she ran and jumped into his arms again. Emmett held her, firm, safe. And for the first time in a long time, that office didn't feel like a workplace. It felt like a home. Clara watched everything, her eyes warm, shining. She saw the man who had been so serious, so closed off, holding her daughter as if she were the most precious thing in the world. She saw him looking at the drawing on the wall with an expression she had never seen before. Love, pure and simple. And she realized that something had changed between them. Something big, something they could no longer ignore. They were no longer just an employee and her boss. They were no longer just a single mother and the man who helped her. They were something more, something that was growing, taking shape, becoming real. A family, not by blood, not by paper, but by choice. And choice, Clara was learning, was the strongest kind of bond. Emmett looked at her over Lily's head, and he smiled. That smile Lily had drawn before it even existed. That smile that was now real. That smile that was only theirs. Clara was washing the dinner dishes when she heard a knock at the door. 3 knocks, firm but polite. She dried her hands on the dish towel and went to open it. She wasn't expecting visitors at that time of night. When she opened the door, she was completely speechless. Emmett Sterling was standing there in the doorway. But it wasn't the hotel Emmett. He wasn't wearing a suit. He wore jeans and a dark grey sweater. He looked different, less formal, more human, and nervous. She had never seen him nervous before. "Emmett?" "Good evening, Clara." "Sorry to show up unannounced." "No, it's okay. Please come in." He entered the small house. He looked around carefully. The simple living room, the folding chairs, the small table where Lily drew. It was humble, but it was clean and organized. There were the girls' drawings taped to the refrigerator with magnets. "Mr. Sterling?" Lily shouted, dropping her teddy bear and running from the kitchen. He smiled when he saw her, that smile that now came easier. "Hi, Lily." "What are you doing here, sir?" "I came to talk to you, if it's not a bad time." "It's never a bad time," Clara said. "Do you want to sit down? I can make coffee." "No need." "Thank you." He sat in one of the folding chairs. Clara sat in the other. Lily stood between the two, her curious eyes running over his face. Emmett took a deep breath. He ran his hand through his hair. Once, twice. A nervous gesture Clara had never seen from him. "I don't really know how to start this." "Just say it," Clara said gently. "We're listening." He looked at his own hands, then at Lily, then at Clara. He seemed to be gathering courage. "I don't have children," he began, his voice low but clear. "I don't have family. My parents died 15 years ago. I don't have siblings. I don't have aunts, cousins, anyone. I've always lived alone." He stopped. He took a deep breath. "I put the hotel as the priority in my life. I worked non-stop. I made it the best I could. I built something solid, respected. But in the process, I closed myself off completely. I didn't let anyone in. I didn't allow anything to matter beyond work." He looked at Lily, and his eyes shone with emotion. "And then you appeared. A 5-year-old girl who wasn't afraid of me. Who didn't see me as the owner of the hotel, just as a person. You walked into my office, sat on the floor, drew, asked questions." Lily smiled, rocking from one foot to the other. Silly questions. They weren't silly. They were the most important questions anyone has ever asked me. You asked me if I had eaten, if I liked having company, if I knew how to smile. He smiled as he said it. "And you taught me so much. You made me see life differently. You showed me that there's more than work and numbers, that there's laughter and colored drawings and conversation, that there's warmth, humanity." His voice faltered a little. "You brought me back to life." Lily moved closer and took his hand. He held it tightly, as if it were the most precious thing. Then he looked at Clara, truly looked, and there was so much sincerity in his eyes that she felt her heart clench. "And you, Clara, you showed me real strength, dignity, unconditional love. I saw you fight for your daughter every day, never giving up, never losing faith, working hard without complaining." He took a deep breath, his shoulders tense. "You two changed everything for me, and I don't want to be alone anymore. I don't want to live only for the hotel anymore. I want more." He stopped. He was trembling slightly. Clara realized he was truly nervous. "If you allow it, I want to take care of you both from now on. Not as a boss, not as someone doing charity, but as family. I want to be present. In the small things and the big things, I want to ensure you have everything you need, that Lily has a future, a good school, college when the time comes. Everything. His voice became quieter, including her studies. Everything she deserves. Clara felt the tears rise, hot. Emmett, you don't have to answer now. I know it's a lot. I just needed to say it. I needed you to know that you matter, more than anything. There was a silence, heavy with emotion. Then Lily let go of his hand, went around, and hugged his legs with all her might. I want you to stay. Emmett looked at the girl clinging to him, his eyes wide. You do? I do very much. You're my friend, and I like you a lot, and Mommy likes you too. We want you in our family. Emmett looked at Clara, seeking confirmation. She was crying, but smiling too. She's right. We want you. Emmett closed his eyes. He took a deep, trembling breath. When he opened them, there were tears there too. Thank you. He picked up Lily and put her on his lap. He hugged her tightly, and for the first time in his life, he felt what it was like to have someone to care for, someone who mattered more than anything. It wasn't romance. It wasn't passion. It was something deeper, more solid. It was choice. A choice to be family, to be together, to matter to each other. And that was stronger than anything else. 3 weeks later, Clara received a notice from the school where she had enrolled Lily, the end-of-year presentation. All the first-grade children were participating. Lily was extremely excited. She had rehearsed the song at home dozens of times, singing loudly, dancing across the room. On the day of the presentation, Clara arrived early at the school auditorium. She looked for a good place to sit, where she could see the stage well, and then she saw Emmett. He was there, in a dark suit, but without a tie, sitting in one of the middle chairs, saving a seat next to him. When he saw Clara, he waved and smiled. She approached, surprised and happy. You came. Lily invited me. I couldn't miss it. Clara felt her heart warm. She sat down next to him. Thank you for being here. It means a lot. It's where I want to be. The presentation began. The children lined up onto the stage. Lily was in the second row in a light pink dress, her blonde hair tied up with a white ribbon. She immediately scanned the audience. Her bright eyes searched the rows. Then she found them. Clara and Emmett sitting side by side. She smiled. That huge, radiant smile that illuminated everything. The music began. The children sang together. Lily sang loudly, excited, without any shyness. When the song ended, she waited for the applause to die down. Then, to everyone's surprise, she pointed straight at the audience. There, that's my mommy, and this is Emmett. He's part of our family too. The other children looked. The parents looked. The teacher smiled, touched. Clara felt her face heat up, but she was smiling from ear to ear. And Emmett laughed. A low, genuine laugh, completely happy. That smile Lily had drawn months ago before it existed, that smile that was now real, true, which now had a reason, a purpose. Clara looked at him. He looked at her. And in that moment, without needing words, they understood. They had become a family, not by blood, not by official paper, but by choice, by love, by being together. After the presentation, Lily ran to them in the hallway, her little face red with excitement. Did you see I sang really loud? We saw you. You were incredible, Clara said, hugging her tightly. I was afraid I would forget the lyrics, but then I saw the two of you sitting together and I felt less nervous. Emmett knelt down to her height. You were the best of all. Really, I'm very proud of you. Lily hugged him, throwing her small arms around his neck. Thank you for coming. I will always come. Whenever you need me, I'll be here. I promise. And he meant it, every word. They left the school together, the three of them, walking side by side down the sidewalk under the afternoon sky. Lily in the middle, holding her mother's hand with one hand and Emmett's with the other. Clara looked at this small moment, this scene so simple and so perfect, and she realized this was it. It was exactly what she had dreamed of during all those difficult years, all those cold nights. Not a castle, not wealth, not luxury, just this. Someone walking beside them. Someone who chose to be there. Someone who cared. Emmett looked too. He looked at the girl confidently holding his hand, at the strong woman on the other side, and he realized that the empty office, the solitary dinners, the silent nights, all of that was over forever. Now he had something that no successful hotel, no professional achievement, no money could provide. He had family. He had a home. He had love. And for the first time in decades, Emmett Sterling was no longer alone. And Clara and Lily weren't either. They had found each other on that cold winter night, when everything seemed lost. And now, they would never be alone again. Because family isn't about blood or last names. It's about choice. And they had chosen each other. Forever.